Okay.
All right, good afternoon, Business Practicum teams. Professor Hassey here, along with Mr. Sean Snyder and Professor Hicks. This is class number 2 of our Wix.com training and review. A couple of administrative things today. For my teams, especially, make sure, as we discussed last Thursday, that the designated team members who are going to be working on your platform are making sure they're in the session today as you break up into your groups, and that you begin to develop knowledge of the Wix within your own team. And we will talk about that and develop that again on Thursday, as we now have all of our products designated and begin our business planning checklist. Secondly, administratively, make sure your microphones are muted. If you're not a co-host, if you're just a participant, make sure you are muted. Finally, within the next week, we will be finalizing, hopefully, our efforts of collecting money and using the procedures for beginning to collect and understand our costs associated with running this platform. We will be getting that information to the teams within the next week. We'll be finalizing that as a leadership in this practicum within the next 5 days to a week, and then have that available next week for our business planning. One of the things we need to remember is that we need to be patient. We need to understand this is all new material. Be patient with your fellow teammates. Try to review the videos that we provide for you, which are replays of our sessions. That's very important. And in the long run, it'll pay off with knowledge of the systems. Also, in about another week or early next week, I'll be sending an email to all team CEOs and CFOs. We will be having a finance meeting with all the teams, leadership, towards the end of next week. To just go over our bank accounts, all our finance type of infrastructure, so we can begin to help you get that organized. Also working out how we originally going to buy your product, ordering, that sort of thing. So look for that email next week from me, CEOs and CFOs, and we'll be talking about that in the near future. Professor Hicks, anything to say to the group?
No, I think you've covered it. Thank you, Rick, for just kind of organizing everything and laying down all the ground rules. The one thing I would say that has come across as we work with this is that some people are starting to show some, I won't say frustration, but I would say that maybe Wix is different, or you've used another platform that's easier. Please step forward and speak to us about that, okay? We are using Wix because it was agreed upon by Frank and myself and Rick and Sean, okay? Also, Wix is working with us. They gave us free, you don't have to pay for our website. So there's some things they did on their side. And as we work with Wix, we find it to be just as, maybe it's not one you're familiar with or one you work with in the past, but it's just as easy to work with as Shopify or some of the other sites, GoDaddy. I mean, they all have a little different way to work with them, and some you might find easier, but Wix is a nice product. So please step forward and say something. Don't be frustrated. And don't vent to your team members. Let us all have this conversation about what is good and what is possible and what we can do. And we're all on one page because we're also conforming to the university standards and administration. And this is the first semester that we've been able to have websites and have them up and working and have a commerce site. So we want to make this successful, and we want to have everybody on the same page. So as much as you can, whatever group you're with, whatever practicum you're with, come see myself, come see Frank, come see Rick, and let's kind of get those bugs worked out so that we're all on the same page. We're all having a good time. We're all selling stuff online. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Mark. Frank, I see Professor Fiallo is on. Frank, do you have anything to say to the group?
No, I'm good. I just got off of 2 lectures with my groups on marketing. We covered a lot of target marketing and did that today. So I'm excited to be here. Sorry I wasn't here last week. But I am here for everybody, not just the practicums. You are more than welcome to come to my office hours. I have a standing office hours from 9 to 12 on Friday. Come on in, talk, come as a group, come as one, however you want to do it, and set an appointment with you. My life is in my office like almost all day, every day. So come on in. It's a good time. That's it. I'm good.
Thank you, Professor Fiallo. Okay, Sean, your ball game. Go ahead.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Hope you're having a great Tuesday after a long weekend, shaking off that, and hope everybody enjoyed Mulan. It was awesome, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Anyway, today what we're going to be talking about is 3 things. We're going to be upgrading the sites, and I think speaking to, if you're hearing some frustrations out there, once we upgrade the sites, you're going to see the full power of the Wix site, so that might ease some of the frustrations Mark had alluded to. With the freemium version, there isn't much there. But we're going to upgrade the sites. We're going to talk about taxes, everyone's favorite. And then lastly, we're going to talk about shipping. So let's get right into it. Let me share my screen. Coming off of the heels of the last session, basically some of the homework items that I took care of on my site, because I'm just kind of using this as a dummy site, if you will, is, one, on the front end, what I went ahead and did is let's go ahead and edit. I added the content like I talked about. All those sections that say I'm a paragraph, I added our little story. I picked my product. My product is going to be t-shirts, specifically skate shirts. So I went ahead and updated a lot of stuff, just kind of like we talked about. Got my little story about Sally's Skate Shop, what we're here to do. This is where you guys can talk about your product, your mission, your charity. I think you guys are choosing that right about now. But I updated the customer service, kind of page, some FAQs. So this is kind of what I did on the front end, nothing fancy. But on the back end, let me go back there, I added my store products. So I told you I picked shirts, something easy. And so I had to go in and add the products and add a little picture, a little Zero shirt here. If anybody, skates, remembers Jamie Thomas. Oh, let me close my, getting a phone call. Sorry about that. But where'd it go? I had to add a little description. I turned on different variants. So I'm offering small, medium, and large. And I turned on the managed inventory. So what I wanted to point out that took me a little bit of time was, I've got small, medium, large. I said I've got one of each. It's the weight. So I had to go on down to Walmart, and get a little envelope that I think I could fit my handy dandy t-shirt in, put them together, took them down to the USPS office and had it weighed because I don't have like a digital scale. And the lady there told me that, it's 10 ounces, which was perfect for me because I wanted to keep it under 13 ounces. And the way I just kind of did this math here, because it gives us pounds, but 1 pound divided by 16 ounces per pound, going back to 5th grade math, is 0.0625. So I had to multiply that by 10 ounces, and I got 0.625. So I just rounded up. But this is going to be a key variable on an e-commerce website. When you're adding products, if you choose to use this feature in a real-time shipping app that we're going to talk about in a second, to really charge the accurate weight for your product in combination with the distance that we're shipping it based on the zip code. So that's going to be really important. That took me a little bit of time. So I wanted to point that out because it's going to take you time as well once you pick your product and then figure out, okay, what are we going to fit this in? So I'm foreshadowing a little bit because we're going to talk about shipping today. But first, to really get the power of this program and this Wix website, I'm going to hit upgrade because we're going to now take it live and we're going to connect a domain name. Your coupon codes you're going to have to get with your professors are good for any plan except for this enterprise plan, which quite honestly, we're going to go with the business VIP. just make sure you can see there's 2 tabs here. These are for regular websites. Don't choose this. We are selling products. So choose business and e-commerce plans and then pick the business VIP plan. So another thing to note is the coupons that we're going to be using are only good for 1 year plans. So this 2 and 3 years will not work, but I'm going to go ahead and continue to checkout. And this is where you have to have a credit card. So you're going to be getting together with your professors about whoever owns the site. To do that, I'm going to remove this coupon code. I'm going to pause my screen share for just a sec so I can enter in mine. And then I'm going to click submit. So give me 1 second. Enter. Purchase. Okay. So let me share. Okay. So now we've basically upgraded the site. Again, we get them for free, but now we want to get a domain name, which is included with that. So that was part of your homework last time, and I checked to make sure www.sallysskateshop.com is available. And it is, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it. If you have another domain name, you can connect it elsewhere. Domain voucher. So it's automatically telling me they wanted me to do 2 years. I just want to do a year because that's $0. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Continue. And I do want to have, since this is all, when you register a domain name, you have to have your public information out there. I want to make this private. Tech consultant. Let's see here. Secured. I think it might be the next step. So let me see here. Domain name voucher. Hold on. Okay, privacy is the next step. This is where it will cost me $10. And basically, privacy, you'll have to register with ICANN whenever you get a domain name, because if there's an issue with the site, someone needs to be able to look up, okay, who runs this site? So I like the privacy feature, so it's $10, not bad for me, and it keeps me from getting a lot of spam email, quite honestly. So I'm gonna buy that, but you don't have to. You could remove it and just do a public registration. But what that means is this information is gonna be out there on the web. So just know that if you choose to do it, which is fine. But I like the private registration personally, so I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. And now we just went ahead and purchased our domain. So for $10, that really would be free, but we're buying the extra privacy. So whenever someone looks up the Sally's Skate Shop domain, it'll show Wix.com is the person or the company that's in charge of it. It's going to continue to try to upsell me to buy an email. We don't get any of that stuff with our coupons. So if I go to my domains, now I can manage it. If I transfer it from Wix to another like Shopify or Squarespace, all that stuff's good. But that's going to show up under your your billing history over here. So that's step one. We just took our website live, and now we have a premium plan. So I'm going to, let's see here, extended, offline. All right, let me see here. I want to go, that's my other site. Go to site dashboard. I want to make sure I'm on the right. I got multiple sites here I'm working with. Okay, so let's see. This is my other website. The only difference was there is an S. So, all right. So now we are premium. We have a lot more features to play with. And one of those features is setting up store tax. So to simplify things, taxes can be kind of confusing. And especially since 2018, when they came out with this South Dakota versus Wayfair decision. And I'm just going to put this link in the chat. But really, to boil it down into something really simple is before online stores, it used to be if you had a presence, a physical presence in another state, you had to remit sales tax returns or pay your sales tax and charge for it. That was under Quill. And then came along the South Dakota versus Wayfair, which basically said, okay, no, there is so much commerce being done interstate that we're going to now establish what's referred to as an economic nexus. Fancy term for how a threshold that by which each individual state sets. And some of those states are set thresholds based on, like, for example, in California, the threshold for the economic nexus is if you sell $500,000 in sales in the state of California. So other states, every single state basically establishes a different nexus. It could be number of transactions, it could be dollars in sales volume that you sell in the state, or a combination thereof both. So in order to keep us out of hot water with the administration at the University of La Verne, we're going to limit our sales just to California. But even within California, you have different tax rates. I'm in Chino Hills, so my tax rate is 7.75%. Somebody else that might be buying from me might be located in La Verne, where it's 10.5 or 10.25. And all of that is set up on the, California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, CDTFA, sales tax by city. So you can go and look this stuff up, and it seems a little scary. Let's see, La Verne by city. I'll go with La Verne. La Verne is, what is La Verne? I should know this. 10.25. I thought it was 10.5 for some reason. And it's always changing. So it's really scary as an online retailer, like, oh my gosh, am I charging the right amount of sales tax? In addition to the fact that you're charging your customer this money that really isn't yours. It's the state of California. So you're just a piggy bank. You're holding it for them, and you have to pay them the correct amount of sales tax based on what you charge, especially if you're selling something of a tangible value like my t-shirt. So, sounds scary, but it isn't, because now once we've upgraded, we can then go to, let me make sure, okay, I'm on the right site. We're going to go under settings, and we can go to store tax. And now we can automate our tax using a company called Avalara. I don't know why I always mispronounce that, but that time I think I got it right. So we're going to automate our tax. We're going to go ahead and set this up. So let's see, business information. Let's see here. This probably could be the university's address. We're going to create an account with Avalara. All right, so it already exists. Please enter a different email to create a new account. Okay, so I already have one. Okay, good. And so what it's going to do, okay, this is why it's fun to do things on live. You really get to see the challenge, the real workings. Let's try this one. Something went wrong. Please try again. Okay, something went wrong and it was created. Woohoo! We're gonna go back and check that. But so here it basically inputs all of the different sales tax. So when people are going through your cart and they're checking out, you always get to that checkout process where it says enter your address. We're gonna talk about how to dump them into our email marketing, but we are going to. It's already got a 10.5%. I think that's where I was getting it. 10.25 would be our backup if we're La Verne. But we're not going to tax digital products. And it's as simple as that. Now, when somebody goes through our checkout process, we're using this third-party software that's going to automatically validate what amount of tax we should be charging. And that's also important to note. That's why we're not going to be selling outside of California, because technically until you meet that threshold of economic nexus, the system will not charge tax. So we're going to stick to California, and it's as simple as that to be able to make sure you're charging the right amount of tax based on where your customer is located. I think I'm making good time. So let's see here. We talked about tax. And now the last part I wanted to talk about before we get into our breakout sessions is shipping. Because we're going to talk about accepting payments and fulfillment next time. I can show you the fulfillment now, but we're going to go under store shipping. Again, I'm under main menu, under site settings. Where is it? And you kind of have, sometimes you got to scroll down. I'm going to go to store shipping this time. Because we don't want people to visit our site that are outside of California and still be able to get through the checkout process, pay us, and then we have to deal with all of that. Oh, so sorry issues. So under store shipping, once it loads, what we're going to do is we're going to limit where we ship to. And so that people will get an error message saying, oh, hey, we don't ship to Anchorage, Alaska. Sorry. But that's really important for us to be able to limit. Let me try to refresh this.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So there's this website online, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a really popular website. You can order like laptops and stuff like that, but it's like one of the only websites on there that allows you to, like, you have no sales tax ordering it to California. And I have like no idea how they get away with that, but
well, and that's
do you know what I'm referring to at all? I think it's like HP Photo Video or something like that.
Okay, if it's photo video,
I swear there's no sales tax.
Sales tax in California, and you want to check the CDTFA website, but digital products where there's no tangible product that's being delivered, sometimes there's no tax involved with that. But just like we're selling a website right now,
you can get a MacBook Pro and there's no tax.
And that's the thing. I could be selling MacBook Pros on this website. Whether I'm doing the right thing and charging the right amount of tax, that's on me. Because ultimately, I could be audited by any one of the 50 states saying, hey, you owe us money. Pony up. So that's why we're going to turn off international shipping, and we're going to go in and we're going to edit these 51 states, and we're going to say only California. And then that way, if someone uses a zip code outside of California, they'll get a little message saying, hey, so sorry, but we do not ship to your area, and they won't be able to get through the checkout process. So we don't have to worry about that.
Sean, if I may interject in that, and students, the reason we're doing that is, as what Professor Hicks said earlier, we have certain guidelines that we have to follow with our administration and the liability with the university. They're giving us some slack on some things, but what we cannot do and keep track of it in a fairly consistent way is have outside of California sales. It's just not going to work with our the liability issues, the infrastructure, the accounting issues that are required by the university. Remember, we're a not-for-profit organization, but we're selling this little area of the world of Laverne in a for-profit environment, technically. So we have to maintain certain guidelines, and that's why the bells and whistles of this Wix.com are very handy to us, and we can turn off certain things and not have to worry about us making those mistakes. So that's the bottom line with all this. I know it's frustrating. I know some of you would like to sell in Nevada. I know we have some international students that would like to sell in their homelands. We just cannot do that and stay within our guidelines and liability issues with the university. Okay, thanks, Sean.
No, and we want to crawl before we can walk, or I guess, and then start running. So we're off and running, but when we have our customers go through the checkout process, what we want to do is we want to enable, because you can offer free shipping, flat rate, but the most advanced and the accurate is to use this USPS calculated rate. So it's real time. And then so that it's going to take into account the product weight, the size, and that's what we got to go through here. So first we have to select a service. And this threw me for a loop at first. I didn't know, unless you know USPS, usually I'm going there to ship and stuff. Whatever they tell me I owe them, I pay it. But this time you're going to have to really look into the different services they offer. So for example, what I learned was first class mail is the cheapest and usually 3 to 5 days. And that's what, if you hover over this, it kind of tells you 1 to 3 business days, but it depends obviously how far away it is. But the caveat is it can only be up to 13 ounces. So looking at your products, I know we're kind of we're a little bit further down the road than some groups, but take this into consideration because you again want to know what the cost is going to be per item. So I'm using first class mail. You can plug in here, 3 to 5 business days. Then first is the service type, because priority mail and priority express, this is where you got those flat rate boxes and it starts to get pricey, like $7-8 to start with. So again, every product's gonna be a little bit different. They say pricing starts at $6.65, and actually it's cheaper to buy the shipping labels through Wix than it is if you actually go down to the UPS store. And it took me a little bit to figure out like why, but it's really because when you buy through Wix, you're buying through a third-party platform that does a lot of shipping, so they give you discounted shipping rates. Even comparably speaking, if you went down to the actual USPS and bought the shipping label there and taped it on. We're going to show you that in a second. So I'm using first class mail because my t-shirt, again, was 10 ounces, including the little bubble wrap mailer. But because this is a bubble wrap mailer, I have to now go in and say what kind of package type. It will give you kind of basic flat rate boxes and stuff like that, but mine is custom. So I'm going to have to go in here and just call it, what is this? Bubble mailer. And it is 11 by 2. I measured it. You wouldn't think a shirt is really that thick, but it was actually about 2 inches top, in height, by 8.5, or not height. Well, I guess it would be width. And then you have to plug in where I'm shipping it from. So, 60. Let's see here. Oops. Because they're going to use these zip codes from your zip code where you're shipping it from to your customer's zip code to determine the zone. So it's the weight, and then it's also the zone. So right now, I'm looking at first class parcel package service, retail parcels, because this is not an envelope, even though I thought it was, and I was like, wait a minute. But no, because it's a parcel mail, I've got 10 ounces. And depending on these zones, so this would be like close to me. Like I shipped one to my brother-in-law up in Oxnard, but I shipped one to my mom in Virginia, and she was out here in zone 8. So it's going to compare the zones. So inputting the shipping address, this is where that's actually being picked up or dropped off at. Does someone have a question? I thought I saw her. No? Okay. So, forgot California. And backup product weight, you could say, I'm going to charge $5 in case for any reason the app isn't working. I mean, technology is great, as we all know, but only when it wants to be, right? So you can plug in a backup rate. But the ideal situation with shipping is a net zero game. It's not to make money, and it's not to have expenses. It's to exactly pay what your customers paid you, and it's just an exchange. So once we plug in the right weights and we have this real-time shipping app installed, it will make it exactly what you're going to pay. And so let me just show you real quick. Let me save this. Now I'm not going to I already have another order, another website, which is exactly the same. So when someone goes to your website and actually buys a product, you're going to show up here and store orders. And so this is an example. Let's see, is this one? Yeah. You go in, it's like, okay, somebody bought this shirt. Great. I need to fulfill this order. I need to literally go get an envelope, go get the shirt, put them together, and I need to print a shipping label to go on top of that. So here I click Create Shipping Label, and this is where we can see that we're actually being charged the same amount. It says at customer checkout, your customer paid you $3.93 for shipping. That's what you charged them. So then when I go to buy the label, I want to make sure that I'm paying $3.93. And I can do so by just buying it right here. I pick my method of payment. And let me go back to another one I can just show you real quick.
Sean, I had a question.
1 second, I'll get right to you. And then you get this shipping label, and you can print it out, pop it on there, and call for a pickup, schedule it, drop it off. It's up to you. I scheduled a pickup, and they'll actually come to your house if you create like a click and ship kind of account with USPS. But that's kind of the rundown. But go ahead. Somebody said they had a question.
Yeah, my name is Andy. I'm in group 3 in Professor Hicks' class. So I want to know, you know how you said it depends on the zip code, right? So what address or what zip code do we put? Like, for example, I live in Pasadena. My group mate might live in Laverne. My other group mate might live in a different city. So what zip code or what address do we put?
I would likely go with where, in terms of the shipping from address, is that the one you're referring to?
Exactly. Because you said that there are different rates depending on where you're going to drop it off. That's why.
Exactly. So if I'm in Chino Hills, you're Pasadena, whoever's going to be in charge of fulfilling the orders would be the address that I would ship from. That way you can charge the correct amount. Because if you plug in a shipping from Chino Hills, but you drop it off, and it probably isn't going to be that much different, but
that's a good point, Sean, because you should have on your team, and Professor Hicks and Professor Fiala, if I'm speaking out of turn, you let me know. But you can't have all your inventory scattered all over at each individual student's house. Once you order your product, you have it delivered and sent to your operations person or whoever you designate on your team. That person will be the one who's going to send out the material and keep track of your inventory throughout the semester. So you centralize it within your team. One person, that's your job, is to purchase the product, keep it, do your inventory reports every week per your professor, and then you do the shipping. That's your job. You don't have to account for anything. You're not the finance person. You're not marketing. Your job is operations and controlling the inventory and shipping it out. So you will have one zip code for that. Now, some teams with volume might have different people helping out, but that you can work that out with your team. But to keep it as simple and basic as possible is the key, or then you're going to have mass confusion trying to keep track of inventory and shipping. Then your customers aren't going to get their products, all hell break loose. So keep it simple, one person, two at the max. Thank you, Sean.
Well, and that was kind of the end of my spiel for today. We talked about upgrading the site, getting with your professor to do that, and that's going to really open up the bells and whistles of Wix and probably ease a lot of that frustration. It enables us to use Avalara, automated sales tax, as well as we talked about shipping. Shipping. You got to know your shipping. So definitely research that. But at this point, I think I'm ready to open up the breakout rooms to let the groups kind of get together as a group, talk about where you're at, where you need to go. All right, I think all the breakout rooms are closed now. Hopefully you got a little bit of time with your team. I know it's kind of touch and go. We're moving fast and we're keeping up with everybody at different stages. So again, this is why the webinars are going to be recorded so you can go back to them, talk with your teams. But I put in the chat some other things to think about as you guys are moving forward. Just, working with your professors to see, like Mark just said, the coupon codes, taking the sites live, finishing setting up some of the settings. It's really about the back end settings. I think that was our goal for today, is kind of touching on that, and weights and shipping and all that stuff. Looking at what is your product, what's it gonna fit in, things like that. Researching the USPS website, getting to know that is a fun exercise for the entire group, I'll say. And then, of course, some of the other things you can take care of now while you got some downtime is think about return policies and look at other sites to get inspiration from in terms of what you guys are going to do. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Professor Hasse or Mark to kind of wrap up. Any closing thoughts?
The only closing thought I have for everybody is, again, as Mr. Snyder just said, we're covering a lot of material fast. Take your time. Go over the videos, links that we post for you if you want to review them. Work it out with your team. And no question is a dumb question. Every question is an excellent question. If you need, talk to your professors, talk to Professor Hicks, Professor Fialo. If you're confused, don't know what's going on, we're going to be talking a lot about this, I'm sure, in our classes on Thursday. Send Mr. Snyder an email, or send your teaching assistants emails, and if they don't know the answer, they can forward it on. Now, this next couple of weeks is the time to ask the questions, okay? Now's the time. If you're confused, if you're frustrated, if you don't know what the hell's going on, if each team members are getting frustrated, now's the time to get that out of the way, ask the questions, get rid of the inhibitions, and move forward. So this is the time to do that. So please, no question is a bad question. Everything is relevant. So please do that and go right ahead.
So I'm trying to order my product today on Amazon. I want to get a sample, but I can only order the 10 product. So my product comes in groups of 10, and I wanted to order one, but I can't order the sample, so I have to order all 10 of them. But okay. Should I pay it on my card, or do you want to give me...
Joseph, why don't you stay on the line after we're done today, and I will talk to you about that, okay? And give you my information, okay?
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry. Professor Hicks, Professor Fialo.
I'm good. I have nothing. Thank you.
I am good too. I'll probably have more later, putting this together and asking some questions. So
Okay.
I'm good for now.
And I'm good too. I think next time we're going to hopefully have a healthy conversation around accepting payments, fulfillment. So all the questions you guys were asking today were spot on. Keep them coming. Write them down. Don't let them get lost because we're going to move fast. So work among your groups. And I guess we will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. So.